Alright, so in today's video, I'm just going to basically discuss a little bit about the front drive shaft off of my Jeep TJ Rubicon, because it did start making some noise when I was driving down the road. So one of the things that I do for troubleshooting when you hear like weird noises coming from underneath your Jeep, disconnect your front drive shaft from your front axle, which is like, I just kind of put a bag over here so like the cap and needles wouldn't fall on the road as I was driving. And I disconnected it from the front axle, strapped it to the frame just to hold it in place, went for a test drive. The noise I was hearing stopped, so yeah. The problem is most likely something in the front axle. And this is my first 4x4, so, I wasn't too familiar with the construction of the front drive shaft. But when I was doing my research, it indicated that typically a noise from the front end that sounds like, eventually it sounds like squeaking or some sort of squealing or something like that. I wasn't at that point yet. It just sounded like weird metallic sound that was consistent with the vehicle's speed. And in my research, I found that the most likely cause is the centering ball, which is in here. And like, I didn't even know this was a thing. It's like, centering ball, what in the hell is that? So yeah, it's apparently that's in here, and there's like a rubber boot that kind of covers it, which is also in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disassemble this and actually show you closer with the parts here. One thing I will state right now, though, is I'm not going to actually show you the process of me disassembling and reassembling this, because this is not a how-to video. I am not a trained mechanic. I do this kind of like the way I see people do it on YouTube. So do not use me as a reference for doing this sort of job on your own. Yeah, I'm not a mechanic. So yeah, I just got to say that first. So now when it comes to actually finding the parts for this, the U-joints are easy to find. Those were just on Rock Auto. You can use I've seen some various diagrams online that tell you the reference for exactly which part numbers you use for each U-joint. And getting the centering ball was actually more difficult. So I had to remove the entire drive shaft to get a visual examination of this before I ordered it, because there was actually different types of this. One being a greasable, and this is a non-greasable one. When you look online and compare the visuals, because the non-greasable one, it kind of comes all the way right down to the bottom, and this is more flat looking. So I've got the new one here. So this is basically the non-greasable one. Now on the version of this that's greasable, this kind of only comes down to about halfway, and then the rest of this is like a little bit thicker because there's a grease like point in there. So yeah, I probably could have gone with the greasable one, but then there's another concern that the boot, which is in here, and I ordered the exact same replacement boot, I think so. What is this? The 2-86-418. That seems to be, I think, the same size of boot as what's already in there, but I'll have to pull it apart to double check. So those two appear to be what goes together. And yeah, if you look at a website, I think it's called Denny's Drive Shaft, it talks about the size difference between this and the greasable one. So I don't know, Jeep likes to use different components for fun, I suppose. I believe what I've got here is the 1330 drive shaft, but if you've got like a 1310, I don't think this is the right part, or I don't know. So yeah, you definitely have to do some research online. So I wanted to get a visual look at this before I ordered the replacement, because obviously I want to make sure I got the exact same part. And to me, I believe that's probably the same part. And that is the Spicer 211996X, which is that component there. The real fun part, this doesn't show up on Rock Auto when you search under the Jeep parts. If you go under the Jeep parts, it looks like you can get the ball itself as like a removable part, but this does not look like a removable part. So that was kind of interesting. So in order to get this part, I think I was searching Rock Auto for the part number exactly, or I think if you search under a 1979 Ford Bronco, there is a section that has these joints that look exactly like this. And I think the greasable version of this showed up under the Ford Bronco listing, and its number was the same as what was recommended for the Jeep, well, for some Jeep models. So I don't know, it was really a pain in the ass finding this part. And if you're an American, it's a lot easier. There was these like tons of these on eBay, but in Canada, the cost of that plus shipping is just absurd. So there was no way I was going to buy that from anywhere other than Rock Auto. So yeah. As for the U-joints themselves, these were easy enough to find on Rock Auto. They were listed under the proper Jeep category. The ones I got here are non-greasable. I did notice after I removed the drive shaft that the previous owner did put greasable ones on this. Like, this is the transfer case side. There was no way I was ever going to realize these were greasable, nor would I want to be greasing these because of the skid plate that's in the way, and I'm not going to remove the skid plate to grease these. So yeah, I got the non-greasable ones, and it looks like the 5-1330X. These two, I can't remember on the diagram which was what. I think maybe one or both of these go here. And then I've got the 5-793X. That might be this side. I'd have to reference the diagram before I reassemble it because I can't remember. So, but yeah, when it comes to actually removing these, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to show it because I'm not a mechanic. Don't use me as a reference for how to do a job properly. Sometimes I half-ass things, but basically I'm just going to pull these little locking tabs out, hammer this out with like a small socket, and then I'll be using a bench vise to reassemble everything. So yeah, you can find proper instruction on YouTube. So yeah. All right, so I managed to get this piece out. You know, some violence was used, but we're not gonna go there. So yeah, luckily these two look pretty much exactly the same. So this little spring goes like in here. So on this unit, if you pull this little piece here, there's a spring that's inside there. I really have no idea what I'm doing, but this is basically what the other end looks like in here. So that spring, I'm assuming, kind of fits in that spot there, and then that whole point goes into the joint here. And there's like, yeah, there's little needles inside there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research on the proper instructions on how to do this, because this is the first time I've ever seen one of these things before. So yeah, like I said, don't use me as a mechanical reference. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I just want this stupid ass thing to stop making a bunch of noise. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm probably gonna finish hammering out all of the other U-joints there. And when it comes time to reinstall all the U-joints, I'm gonna have to review some of the instructions on how to do it like nice and cleanly, because I kind of forget how to do that sometimes. And the way, like, I don't know, the way these go together, sometimes it just is kind of it's simple, but it can be confusing when you're looking at it and you're like, well, how is this supposed to fit together? Because you have to like sometimes balance the joint in between the caps and making sure the needles all don't fall out while you're assembling it. It's, yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So yeah, I think this is what we call the smoking gun for the sound I was hearing. I think just before I even like started taking this apart, like all of this dust color here, I think that's typically an indication that your U-joint is completely screwed up. And like, yeah, as I popped this off, right, yeah. Huh, where'd all that grease go? I don't know. So yeah, that was, I think this is possibly what was making the sound. But if I was going to all this effort to replace a U-joint, I suppose I would have might as well replaced the centering ball anyway, because I don't feel like doing this again for years. So yeah, that would probably do it. So here's another fun discovery I made. So this end of the drive shaft is what connects to the front differential, and I guess what I had in here was a factory-style U-joint. There wasn't any sort of locking ring around here, and the cap was actually sticking out a little bit. So I was like, all right, well, how do I get this out? Do I just like hammer it out? So, I was beating the crap out of it, and I wasn't making any progress. So eventually I gave up and I searched online, and when I kind of tried to find out, how to remove this, the answer was light your drive shaft on fire. So I was like, really? Why? And apparently, because there's on the factory style U-joint cap, there's like this ring that goes in here and it lines up with the cap, and then through this little hole here, it's filled with like a nylon glue of some sort. And once that's in there, the only way to get that thing out is to sit there with fire and basically torch it until it comes oozing out. So I saw that and I was like, how is that a thing? I've never seen that before in my life. So I took out a blowtorch and, I did that. And sure enough, a bunch of that crap came out, and the rest of it is like jammed in the ring there. So I'm going to have to like go in there and scrape it all out. But yeah, anyway, after I finished torching this, then I realized there was a little bit of play right in here. So my assumption was all of that heat liquefied whatever grease might have been in here, and yeah, that's what happened. So I took this off, pulled this out, and once I just jammed a ton more grease in here, then it's like perfectly, the way it's supposed to be. And unfortunately, I did split this boot while I was removing it. I mean, it's not too bad, but with all the effort I'm going to with this stupid drive shaft, I'm not going to risk it. I got a brand new one coming in, so yeah, that with all the new grease and all the new joints that are going on there, I think that will finally give me a working drive shaft. Terrific. And now I've got the drive shaft reassembled, and it is ready for installation. When I assembled this side of things, I'm not entirely sure which is the easier way to do it when it comes to which joint you install first. So what I did is, when this was off, I put the centering ball and this joint on here first, and then I attached this to the actual drive shaft here. Now, I don't know if that was the easier way to do it, or maybe if you put this U-joint in first, get it all secure, and then you put the centering ball in afterward, because then it might be a little more difficult to line up this U-joint, because like this is pretty much snug in here now. So yeah, I'm not too sure if that would have been the easier way to do it, but I figured it would probably be easier just to have this done beforehand. But getting this to line up, I mean, it wasn't really that difficult. It was kind of annoying because I had to like remove all of the caps and then, try to jiggle things around to get everything to properly line up, because you are also pushing the centering ball into the other end of this thing at the same time. So yeah, there's just multiple things you have to line up all at the same time when you're putting this together. So, and this is the first time I've done this, so yeah, I don't know which is the better way to do it, but I mean, the end result is that it's done, so I don't know, whatever. So as you can see, the new drive shaft has been installed and everything feels all good. So yeah, I don't know, it wasn't difficult, but this is my first time rebuilding a drive shaft, so took some research and some thinking to get this done.